time for some learning about space snowballs and some other fun things in space. So a comet is often called a dirty snowball because it is made of dust and ice mixed together. Dust and gas stream away from the comet, forming a huge glowing tail, like in the picture. There may be billions of comets at the edge of the solar system. They circle the sun far beyond Pluto. The solid part of a comet is hidden inside a huge glowing cloud that stretches into a long tail. Some comets loop around the sun, then return to where they came from. Others come back to the sun regularly, such as Halley's Comet, which returns every 76 years. What a funny number of years, eh? Now, we've got shooting stars. They are burning meteors, which are rocks which fly through space. Then we have asteroids, which are chunks of rocks that fail to stick to each other to make a planet. So asteroids are failed planets. And then we've got comet tails, always point away from the sun, so never towards the sun. So comets, shooting stars, asteroids, and comet tails. Fun things. Another test your memory. Which planet spins on its side? What colour are Neptune's clouds? And on which planet would you find the volcano Olympus Mons? Having to have a little think back to some of our previous videos there. So, let's have a little look. Answers. Question 1 was, which planet spins on its side? The answer is Uranus. Or Uranus. It really doesn't matter how you say it. Number 2, what colour are Neptune's clouds? Blue. And number 3, on which planet would you find the volcano Olympus Mons? The answer is Mars. I wonder how many of those you got right. Okay, now we're going to do some learning about galaxies. This always makes me think of Star Wars, if you know any Star Wars. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Anyway, so many galaxies. The sun is part of a huge family of stars called the Milky Way galaxy. There are billions of other stars in our galaxy, as many as the grains of sand on a beach. That's a lot. There are also billions of galaxies outside the Milky Way. Space is so big, like just way bigger than we can really even conceive, really have any idea of. Some are larger and some are smaller, but all have more stars than you can count. Here's our friend Andy. If you could fit the Milky Way onto these 2 pages, the sun would be so tiny you could not see it. So we know the sun is really big. So it would be so small on this page because the Milky Way is so big. So that's just a really weird thought. It would be like a tiny little dot up here in comparison to how big the Milky Way is. Space. It's kind of crazy how big it is. Seen from the outside, our galaxy, the Milky Way, would look like this. We call it the Milky Way because it looks like a very faint band of light in the night sky, as though someone has spilt some milk across space. I think it looks really pretty. Look. Whoosh, swirly. Very pretty. And then we've got some interesting things at the side. So we've got irregular galaxies, have no particular shape. So a bit like you have irregular shapes. Those are ones that aren't set shapes. Like we learn names of particular shapes, like 3D shapes, like a triangular prism or something. Those are regular shapes. We learn those particular shape names. But irregular ones are just funny shapes. So these are irregular galaxies. They have no particular shape. Then we've got spiral galaxies, have arms made of bright stars like that, see? And then galaxies that are very close pull each other out of shape. So these ones are pulling at each other because they're so close to each other. Exploring the sky. People have imagined they can see the outlines of people and animals in star patterns in the sky. These patterns are called constellations. Astronomers, those are people who study the sky and the stars, astronomers name the constellations to help them find their way around the skies. So over here, you have to kind of look up really close. So here we've got one called Scorpion. So these brightly lit ones here. Then we've got one called a Southern Cross here. And then we've got the great dog here. So what do you think? Does that look like a dog? Does that look like a cross? Does that look like a scorpion? If you live south of the equator, which is the imaginary line through the center of the earth, kind of across, like if we imagine for a second that was the earth, and then you put the line across it. Okay, so imagine that's our green and blue earth, and you put a line through the middle. Okay, and that's where the equator is, down the middle. Anyway, so back to it being the night sky. So these are the constellations that you can see at night. So if you live on the south part, so the lower part down here, then if you look up at the sky at night, these are some of the ones you should be able to see. North of the equator, so the part, again, if this was Earth up here, then the people who live on this half up here, north of the equator, a different set of constellations can be seen. So here we go. That's supposed to be a great bear up here. Okay. Interesting. I'm going to zoom in for you here. See what you can see. I'll be interested to see what you can identify. Maybe you can see some shapes or some ones that haven't been identified yet. Maybe you'd like to give some names to some new constellations. So that's ones for north of the equator. And those are the ones for south of the equator. I have to admit, I always found it very hard to work out star constellations. I wonder if you find it tricky or not. So the scorpion is so called because it looks like a scorpion. The Great Bear is one of the best known star formations. And the Southern Cross can be used as a compass. So compasses are used to help people find their way when they're traveling, particularly in times before we all had phones that told us where we were. Moonwatch. You will need binoculars. On a clear night, look at the moon through binoculars, holding them very steady. You will be able to see the round shapes of craters. Binoculars are really two telescopes, one for each eye, and they make the moon look bigger so you can see more detail. Well, I don't know if you'll be able to get good enough binoculars for that, but it would be good to have a look at the night sky. And I think the sky is looking much clearer these days because everybody is staying indoors. There's a lot less pollution, so the skies are clearer. So you might have a better chance at seeing some stars. So that's one good thing that's coming out of all this. Okay, so that was all about exploring the sky.